So this next question is about the Charlo twins, and this one comes also from Sean Singletary, and he says, "Thought he wants our thoughts on the Charlo twins. Are they really the future of boxing in our eyes?" I'll answer that first and foremost. It's really hard for me to say
What do you
that.
mean? Oh,
Hmm?
you used to refer to them as the Black Klitschko's.
I did, and here's what I said. Here's what I said. So let's say what
Just
I'm.
being honest.
No, well, actually, but you gotta properly quote me and put it in the right context first. So
The Black
what?
Klitschko's.
So what? So here's the deal. I don't think that they can be the future until they've established themselves as the present. And I don't think that they are the present at all. And the reason why I say that is because of their age. They're not young 22, 23-year-old guys anymore, right? They are, I think, 27 or 28. So they're still in their prime, but they haven't become the guys, not even in their stable. Okay, not even amongst PBC. So if we're asking a question, are they the future of boxing? Which to define that would mean they would become the number one attraction within boxing. They're nowhere near that. They're not even the number one attraction in their stable. Now, I don't blame them for that. I have said this before, and this is what Peter's referring to with the Black Klitschko's, because I said, and I told Steve Farhood this the first time that we spoke to him. In case you didn't get a chance to see last week's episode, take a look on the channel. We had Steve Farhood with us for almost the entire show. But I said that PBC should be marketing them in such a way that they are like the Black Klitschko's. They should be everywhere because of the combination of rarity and skill. When is the next time we'll have world championship level identical twins in combat sports? When is the next time that'll ever happen? They have.
Are you
I mean,
asking me?
I mean, it's a rhetorical question, but
Highly unlikely.
Highly unlikely, right? And these guys have a look. They have a look that makes you go, "Who are those guys?" You know what I mean? Whether you look at them and say, "Who are those guys? They look like idiots," or "Who are those guys? They're cool." Whatever it is you think, you're probably going to have a thought because they're identical twins that are world championship level fighters. And to me, the fact that they have not been pushed in a way that says, "Look, we got something special here that you'll never see again." They could literally make the claim that you'll never see this again. You know why? Because we've never freaking seen it before, ever. And do you know how many people who would somewhat call themselves fight fans that probably wouldn't even be able to pick the Charlos out on the street?
I mean, they're not the only ones, and
they're not the only ones. What?
That you potentially couldn't pick
but
up.
They're identical twins that are championship level fighters.
Brian, I'll make the argument if Deontay Wilder, who we love, okay.
No, he's 6'7". You could pick him out.
He could still walk down the street in New York and people not turn around and say, "Hey, there's the heavyweight champ of the world."
I think it'll be much tougher. I think it'll be much tougher because he's 6'7", and I think it'll be much tougher because he's a bigger star than they are.
What you're saying is correct. Okay. They're not superstars.
No.
But
they should be.
But they're pretty dominant. Jamal is undefeated. Jamal has the setback against Harrison. They're exciting, explosive. They're good. They're not
why
great.
in the world is Gervonta Davis a bigger star than the Charlos?
Well, Gervonta Davis is a bigger star because they've been working very hard. So let's look at this.
That's my point.
No, Brian. But let's look at this. And we're gonna look at it this way. There's two ways to measure this. Okay. There's in the boxing realm where you can say, and you use a very particular word, star. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because Gervonta doesn't have a name on his record that can put him in the conversation of star, or I'm sorry, of top, in my opinion, of top 10 pound for pound, because
nowhere near.
Nowhere near. But there are people that are, like you said, they're buying into the marketing machine, okay, which has trying to define him as the biggest name in boxing or the future of boxing. And that's a great comparison, right? That you're bringing up. Why Gervonta, they've learned and figured out how to target a certain audience. You and I have talked about this.
Yes.
And they're targeting a very particular audience. What's that audience?
It's the hip hop audience.
That's right. And they're being successful at it.
Yeah. But my point is,
I will say, but I'm going to answer your question. So although they're all under the PBC banner, there is one distinct difference, and this could be the difference. Davis is signed to Mayweather Promotions, where the Charlos are not.
That's true.
So although they're under PBC, and people might think that, well, what does it really matter? Mayweather, that's just PBC, that's Al Heyman anyway. But no, this is something I think that Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Leonard Ellerbe are having their own influence and using their own connections and using their own network to help further Davis's career, aside from just being part of that whole PBC family. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you, and I don't disagree with anything that you're saying.
But what I'm saying is the Charlos don't have anyone to advocate for them.
And this is all my point. This is everything you're saying. This is pretty much my point.
I'm just trying to illustrate it in a way why PBC is different, because they're not a promoter.
Yes, right.
So I'm answering your question is the Charlos don't have a promoter.
Yeah,
they have a network. They have a platform in which they fight.
There you go.
But they don't have a promoter.
And they need a promoter.
They need a promoter
badly.
And that's the reason why.
Yeah, it's just crazy to me, man. Because
you understand, like Mayweather and Ellerbe are doing the extra as the promoter for Davis.
Yes, yeah.
Even though they're under this, I mean, you saw him on the Breakfast Club. You see him on other shows. He's getting national public exposure.
Honestly, obviously, Al Heyman must know something way more than I know, because he has a gazillion dollars, and
he's a brilliant guy,
right? And so, but were it me, I would hire a promoter, which is pretty much what happens. I would get, and not even a promoter, but just a representative who would take the Charlos, and it would be their mission to push. There is no reason in the world that Jermall Charlo shouldn't be on the same level from a maybe not even on the same level, but I got a good example from a tiering standpoint, right? So you remember when Floyd came up and he got tired of De La Hoya getting all of the top rank push, felt like he wasn't getting the love and the attention. So he came at De La Hoya because he knew that's who he had to kind of go over. In my opinion, Jermall Charlo should be looking at Canelo the same way. Everybody who's dealing with his career should be looking at him the same way. And that should be where the attack should be taking place. If the promotion was behind, obviously, I hear what you're saying. I know what you're saying. He doesn't have a promoter. I get it. Okay. He doesn't have anybody advocate. What I'm telling you is what should be happening.
Who's his manager?
It's Al.
Right.
Yeah.
Davis has a manager. In addition to Al, he has Ravone Littlejohn, who also has Adrian Broner. These are people that are working outside of the PBC umbrella to further. So let me ask you to further the brand.
So let me ask you a question. Why don't the Charlos have another person in place?
I don't know. That's you'd have to ask them. Maybe we can get them on.
Yeah,
but I don't want. I mean, they're gonna. Look. They must know this. Right?
They have to. They have to.
But it's the same argument that when PBC welterweight fighters stick out their chest and point the finger at Crawford and go, nah, 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 right? Like we're all here running the welterweight division, fighting each other, making big fights, doing pay-per-views, and you can't even make a competitive fight because your promoter doesn't have anyone competitive for you to fight.
I don't get it. I don't get it. And that obviously this wasn't a planned segment, but I think almost every time somebody says Charlos to me.
But here's the thing: you love the Charlos. And I
I
think
do.
I think you're more frustrated than anything else.
I love the
All
the
right. So
Charlos are two of
right.
the most exciting fighters to watch in the sport right now to me.
Right. So let's say this, right? So we have Jermell who's going to get another shot at Harrison. Maybe he wins his title back. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he doesn't. We have Jamal who's going to fight in December, and he's going to defend his WBC middleweight title against TBA.
Mm-hmm.
So, so anyway, but the point is that it's just not on anyone's radar.